Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Black Geeks. You're on with King Phayce. God darn it, Ghost.
What up?
And Potbelly Samurai. What's up, fellas? I'm losing already.
What's up, man?
So we've been off the air for a little while, so that's why I'm a little bit rusty anyway. But we want to welcome to the show. We got some interesting topics tonight. We're going to be talking about The Walking Dead. We're going to be talking about Sith news. And, of course, we're going to be debuting our new segment called PhayceTime, where King Phayce is going to be opening up his court to address some things that he's been meaning to get off his chest so that the people can know what's really going on around here. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into Sith news because we have a lot of Sith news this week. So here it is. So,
real quick before that.
About the gate. It looks like Robert Townsend is going to be
hold up, pause.
So for those who don't remember Bruce's Millions,
can you hear me?
Prior to the story
right now?
Everybody.
Can y'all hear anything I'm saying? Because you're still talking. I was trying to tell you to pause. No, can he hear me?
I don't think he can.
I don't think he can hear you, dude.
Nobody can hear me.
You can't hear us. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Because we were trying to tell you. I was trying to tell you to pause before you started. You just kept talking. It was crazy. So I
couldn't hear you.
Real quick, what I wanted to say was I was trying to help you out just now. Like, look, what's up with the music, son? When I hear Sith news, I'm used to the music. So
yeah, what's up?
So if we don't got that good, we should just mouth that joint out. You should do like a beatbox or something. You have to entertain. You can't just jump into Sith news. It's not the same. It's not the same.
I want to hear that.
So be about do it with your mouth.
Cool, man.
Hold on. You need to say no homo, right?
No homo.
Right after you say no.
Yo, come on, yo, play it out. You gotta do something. Let's go.
You gotta do something.
I am not about.
Yeah, listen. If you don't do it, I'm gonna do it, but it's gonna be kind of corny.
Yo, why can't Phayce look like he in the middle of D Block doing a phone check?
Hey, why you telling this business? What's up with you, man? What's up with you?
Probably
You know the rules, man. You ain't supposed to do that.
All right, come on. Yo, do some music.
Yo, phone check. Do it with your mouth, son. Do it with your mouth.
Sith news, everybody. Sith news. Take it away, Geekiness.
How's a tribute? Take it, man.
I am sorry. Everybody that's acting in the show. I don't know. Okay, you good? Is everybody good?
Next time, come with music.
God.
Hey.
Okay.
Y'all started it.
All right. Now I'm gonna go back into the
He done lost his train of thought.
Bruce's Millions is being remade by Robert Townsend. How about that? In other news, CBS, as we know, is doing Supergirl, and they've announced this week that not only did they cast Dean Cain from Lois and Clark on the show, they've also cast the original Supergirl herself from that 1980s movie y'all might remember. And they also cast, I forget his name, black guy for Cyborg. I don't have it up right now, but, well, we think he's Cyborg anyway. So they got 3 new cast announcements this week. In gaming news, for those who are interested, Mortal Kombat X is coming out, and they've released their list of 18 characters. And all 18 characters, of course, include some favorites, as well as some new ones, like Cassie Cage, who's apparently Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade's daughter. And they also announced the return of brutalities, and there should be about 100 different brutalities. So if you see any of the trailers, understand that it's going to be crazy. Looks like Sigourney Weaver has agreed to do the next Alien movie. They're going to do an Alien 5 movie, and though there was some debate about whether or not they were going to just ignore the last two Alien movies and just pick up after Aliens, they're now saying that they're not going to completely rewrite those films, but most people think that Ripley is going to pick up from Badass Ripley and not I'm half Alien Ripley or anything crazy like that. So stand by for that.
Whoa. Didn't she die in that other Alien movie?
Yeah, so we're thinking they're going to redo. They're going to redo that whole last movie thing. So I don't know how they're going to figure it out, but maybe she survived it.
Maybe, right?
Who knows? Actually, if I know, she didn't. That you're thinking the one where she fell into the flames, right?
Yeah.
The lava or whatever. No, there was one after that where they had regenerated her or something.
Gotcha.
So the last version of Ripley wasn't really the original one. She was like a clone or something stupid like that, if I remember correctly.
Like Alice.
It also, yeah, like Alice, I guess. But they're doing a DC Comics team up spinoff from Arrow, and people are trying to figure out who's going to be in the team up that's from Arrow and the Flash. So some people are saying maybe Adam is going to be in there, maybe some of the villains from the Flash. So they're definitely milking this thing to death. They also announced that going back to the Supergirl show, it's going to be in the same universe, and there will be a guest appearance from Superman. They didn't say which Superman, of course. Maybe Dean Cain, who knows. Also, it looks like there's going to be a Blade Runner sequel, and Harrison Ford has confirmed to reprise his role. There's also a Crow reboot coming up, and a Red Sonja reboot. So it looks like return to the 80s and the 90s in Hollywood.
Wow.
Also, Margaret Robbie, she's playing Harley Quinn. She's confirmed that she has a multi-picture deal. So it looks like we're going to get more Harley Quinn outside of Suicide Squad. And Donald Glover, he says he can't say he isn't playing Spider-Man. So maybe that's Hollywood speak for a wink, wink, nod, nod. They're going to let me be Miles Morales. But he's basically saying he can't say that he's not playing him. So who knows what the hell that means. In technology news, it was released this week where it was talking about Apple news. I know y'all like Apple. It said Apple makes nearly 8 times as much money as all Android vendors combined. So for those who have Apple stock, you might want to buy some more. Also, Apple announced this week that Pages, Numbers, and Keynotes, all of those productivity apps are now free on iCloud.com for everybody, regardless if you have an iCloud account, Apple device, whatever. So just like Google Docs or any other thing, you can now go to iCloud.com and use Apple's Word, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint equivalent. Also, Apple announced this week that March 9th, they have an Apple event. It's called Spring Forward. So anybody can understand that they're talking about time. And of course, everyone knows that this is when they're going to finally announce the Apple Watch. In science news, I know y'all really want to hear this. It looks like a doctor in Italy says that in 2 years, he will have figured out how to do human head transplants. And the science is legit.
Oh no!
Frankenstein, baby.
Yeah. So
human head transplants.
Yeah, Sergio Canavero. He says he said he's almost there. He got 2 years before he'll completely crack it.
Wow.
And I'm just going to say this for those of you who are watching our Twitter feed. None of us are typing those smart-ass comments. So just so you know, if you see smart-ass comments coming from the Black Geeks right now as I'm speaking, it's somebody that's not currently on the show. was taking it upon himself to make smart ass comments about my haircut and my headphones and stuff.
You do got a little boy haircut. I was just thinking. I was like, yo, this dude got the little boy haircut, son. The 10-year-old haircut. I didn't, but I didn't say it. I was thinking. Y'all was thinking it. Y'all didn't say it.
Before the show. My first question was if you knew
Y'all
that.
gonna make me pause the camera and go get a hat or something. If we can't be adults, about this,
You know where you at.
I was just saying, if we can't be adults about this.
Yo, you blinding everybody with that shiny top lip.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, there he is.
I'm walking up.
I'm gonna stop.
I'm leaving the show.
Yo, finish your Sith news. Do your thing. Knock yourself out. Drink your tea. Shine it up. Do your thing.
Shut up. All right. Now, for those of you who are techies, this tech news is really crazy. In fact, on Twitter, I called it voodoo. On Facebook, I called it just stop it, Potbelly. Whatever you're attempting to do right now, just stop it. But this tech news I'm about to release, it's like sorcery. It's something that we never thought would happen. Microsoft announced that in the new version of DirectX 12, you will be able to use multiple graphics cards from no matter what the vendor is. So let's say you happen to have an AMD video card, and for whatever reason you decide to get an NVIDIA video card. In the past, you could never Crossfire or SLI two different brands of cards. They had to either both be NVIDIA or both be AMD. Well, now Microsoft is saying it doesn't matter what video card you use because DirectX 12 will not go by the hardware per se. It will pool all the graphic resources into one pot, and the computer will take away from the graphics pool. So if you want to have AMD R9 280X and a GTX Titan, feel free. So now you can have, all the benefits that come with AMD and all the benefits that come with NVIDIA. So that's a big deal for techies. Some of you probably don't even know what that means, but understand that this is really huge if you're in the system building and computers and things of that nature. It was also announced for those who watch American Horror Story, the next version of American Horror Story is going to be called Hotel, and it looks like they've cast Lady Gaga to star in the next season of, American Horror Story. And I'm gonna
go out on a limb and say, like, yeah, I've seen her without her makeup on, so that's not that much of a stretch.
I'm just saying, he did Freak Show before, so she should have been on that.
That should have been a warning before.
Wow.
Dang, they trying to kill me on this show. Netflix has announced a whole slew of reboots this week. We already talked about all the remakes in Hollywood as far as the movies. Well, Netflix has announced this week that they're rebooting Inspector Gadget, Danger Mouse, DuckTales.
Danger Mouse.
Yeah, so Inspector Gadget, Danger Mouse, and I think just DuckTales are all the three cartoons that Netflix is going to be redoing.
Those was
and they're doing and it looks like they're doing a Pee Wee Herman movie as well for Netflix.
Well, the Danger Mouse and Inspector Gadget, those are ones that used to come on like Nick, right before Nick at Night, right? Like used to come on at night. I know Danger Mouse. It was one of those BBC shows. Yeah, BBC shows. So it always came on in a wild time, and it took a minute for it to catch on over here. I used to love that show. I used to love Danger Mouse, and I like Inspector Gadget too. But Danger Mouse was one of my favorites. I wouldn't mind seeing them redo that, bring that back.
Yo, I know you're not going to sit here and fake out and be like DuckTales wasn't the jump off. We all watching DuckTales back in the day.
They all would have jumped off, but I'm just saying Danger Mouse especially because I don't think a lot of people in general remember that because it came on at that funky time at that age. Not everybody.
Everybody didn't have cable on that level.
Yeah, everybody didn't have cable, and everybody really wasn't up watching it like that. So yeah, that would be cool.
So couple of more items that I know we need to get out the system. So for those who have been following the net neutrality debate, we've been talking about this off and on over the last year on the Black Geeks, and some people don't quite know what it is. In fact, it became a partisan issue where some people were kind of like, oh, Obama's taking over the internet or whatever. But just so you know, this week the FCC put in place some rules that basically said they have the power to regulate internet service providers. Now, what that means in layman's terms, for those of you who don't remember, we classically did a rant about this. I want to say December of 2013 was when we first started really going in on this. When news reports came out that Comcast and Verizon was trying to muscle Netflix into paying them extra money just so Netflix customers can get better bandwidth. And for those of you who were subscribers to Netflix around that time, depending on what time you had it, you may have noticed that all of a sudden your Netflix just started slowing down, and it was almost impossible to watch what you was watching. And that was because Comcast and Verizon was forcing Netflix to pay them money just so, you can have a good Netflix experience. So once Netflix finally paid them off, they started turning their sights toward Hulu and other content providers. So basically, the argument from Comcast and Verizon was, and other people like Time Warner and things of that nature, they felt like they should be allowed to make people pay more to get certain content faster. So they wanted to do what you call fast lanes of the internet. So basically, let's say you're HBO, and you want to make sure people who watch it HBO Go can see it super fast. You would pay up and give Comcast and Verizon all this extra money so your customers can see it faster. However, if you're Joe Blow content provider and you don't have HBO money, you're just out of luck. And they felt like this was fair. So basically what the FCC ruled this week, and a lot of people are excited, Google, Apple, a lot of people that provide content was against the ISPs, and the FCC basically said, no, you can't do that. The internet should be the same for everybody. So that's a big victory for everybody. It's the first step. So we're going to be following this here at the Black Geeks as things pan out. Couple of quick things. Arnold Schwarzenegger said he will return for Terminator 6. And last two tech items. A lot of people don't know about this, but Hollywood, when they film their things and they use different editing programs, so Apple announced this week that the first film that was actually edited with Final Cut Pro was this Will Smith movie that just came out, Focus. So that's a big thing for Apple. If Hollywood studios start using Final Cut, that means your average everyday user will also be using the same tools that Hollywood use. Now, in some security news, some of y'all are really worried about security. It's now being reported that everything that you say to Siri and that you say to Cortana, Microsoft's personal voice assistant, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say Google now, too, because I don't see why Google wouldn't do it. They're saying that it's being recorded and being stored. So, if you cursing out Siri and you cursing out, Cortana, you saying things shouldn't be said or whatever, just know that it's on their server somewhere. And they say that they do this to, provide better voice recognition, and that might be true. But for those who've been following tech news, know that Samsung just recently got in trouble about this a couple of weeks ago because their TVs now accept voice commands, and it was found out that not only were they recording your voice just idly around the living room, around the TV, but they were also selling, different things to third-party content providers. So be careful what you're saying to your phones when you hit that button, because it looks like somebody somewhere has your voice and could possibly use it. Also, there was a big brouhaha this week, and we're probably going to talk more about this. Independent filmmaker made a R-rated Power Rangers movie, and it was on YouTube, and it got...
That joint is dope.
Dope.
And, it made a big splash on Twitter and the geek community, and people really loved it and supported it. And it looks like Saban got really upset about it, not only because they're the owner of the Power Rangers property, but also because they're actually working on a Power Rangers movie. So they had it pulled from YouTube and things initially. But there was such a big outcry to have this on that they finally relented and let it be put back on YouTube as long as there's a disclaimer before the video. So for those of you who are watching it on YouTube now, you see a disclaimer that wasn't there originally. And last, I hate to end on this note, but this week we lost a pioneer in the sci-fi geek community, Leonard Nimoy. He recently passed, and so we just wanted to make sure we mention that because a lot of geeks, NASA, it's just pop culture. Everybody remembers Spock, and so he passed this week, and we sad to see him go. So here from Black Geeks, just want to say rest in peace, Leonard Nimoy. You brought us a lot of joy, and that's all I want to say on that. So
I want to say one thing on that one. Before you close this one out, man. Leonard Nimoy was a smoker up until he was in his 50s. He quit almost 30 years ago, and the cause of his death, he directly relates back to cigarette smoke. I know we all got our vices and things that we do, but let's learn a lesson from Leonard Nimoy. One of the things he said before he passed was, he wished he had never smoked. If you a smoker, quit. Try to get some help, get that out your life, and try to stick around as long as possible. Rest in peace to the original Dr. Spock.
All right, so we're going to end Sith News with that, and I guess we can, go into our next series of topics. So this week, who has the echo? Is it echo?
That's you.
Nah.
Not me.
It sounds like somebody got wind blowing or something.
Yeah.
Are we good? Hello.
Yeah, we good.
Okay. So this week, I don't know if you guys have been following it, but Agent Carter wrapped up this week. So the season finale of Agent Carter was this week, and it surely went out with a bang. There was a direct Marvel Cinematic Universe tie-in at the very end. I don't want to spoil it, but those of you who are really into comics would probably get more out of it than us casual watchers. So for those who didn't see Agent Carter, please check it out. Also this week, the latest episode of Gotham. OMG. Fish Mooney is the truth. So for those, did you see Phayce?
Yo, I ain't gonna spoil it, but fish. I'm just saying, that's one of the realest characters on TV.
I've been telling people for weeks that the only real reason to watch Gotham is for two characters: Penguin and Fish. But now Fish is completely taken over. She is the number one character on the show. So y'all really gotta check that out. Okay, nobody has anything to say?
No, you heard what I had to say.
Well, it's kind of hard it's kind of hard because you want to say something. You want to say something about what happened, and at the same time you don't, because, of course, if we say anything, we actually spoil it.
No, I'm past that point of spoilers, baby. You know what it is.
Spoilers, baby, spoilers.
Yeah, but no, listen, because I know we talked about this. I am enjoying Gotham. And it's a surprise. After the first episode, I didn't think I would like it. And I know when we talked about it, I think if you go back into the archives and listen to our show, we talked about it and we were like, yeah, I don't know, it might be corny, but it ended up actually being hot. Like, it ended up being hot. It ended up being one of those joints where this is one of my favorite shows on TV right now. Easily. easily. So yeah, I mean, and I like the characters. I don't hate James Gordon like y'all do. He Are we playing the mutant game now? That's what we're doing?
Yo, that was Geekiness. I was trying to unmute you.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm digging that joint. I don't hate James Gordon really. I like his character. I think it's pretty cool, and I like the show in general. And Fish Mooney is the truth. She was the truth since it started. I like him. I like Penguin. I like everything about. I don't have any bad points in the show right now.
I like the James Jordan character. I always have.
I
was the one who was up in the air on Fish Mooney because I really wasn't a big fan. I'm still kind of off on her, but
yeah, he might not be the best story out of all the story that's being told, but it's still a decent character. So.
And you need that straight-laced character. Like, you need that straight-laced dude because everybody else is so over the top. Like, I like Penguin. I think Penguin is, like, to me, like the top character on the show. But, you know, the show was very well balanced in how they put everything together. Like, everybody can't be out there. Like, you need some folks is out there. You need some folks is in a box. Gordon is in a box.
Yeah. You know. And I think it works for the dynamic of the show. So definitely, if y'all not on it, y'all need to get on it. If y'all not on any of the shows right now, I know there's so many shows that you can't watch all of them. Some people wait till the seasons are over and they watch them all at once. To each his own. I'll never knock anybody for not being on every show that's out right now because it's like there's too many. I don't watch all of them when they come on live. I really don't. I mean, my DC stuff, I tend to watch that on the weekends. So I don't live tweet Arrow or, Flash. I can't. It's not enough time.
Yo, Flash is thorough, man. I'm really enjoying what they do.
I'm just saying, I don't watch it live.
The fact that, like you looking at it and it's kind of like, You got some hints, like you got some real hints, especially after the episode with Grodd and Wells reveals himself as the Reverse Flash. It's kind of like, and they in the bedroom, not in the bedroom, in the living room with the projector, and you can see that they get the blood samples, and it's like one is older Barry and one is the other speedster, but they don't know who it is. If it doesn't match up to Wells, it's just like, okay, so they're gonna have like multiple yellow flashes in this joint, so they're gonna have the Reverse Flash. They probably, figuring out a way to incorporate, Professor Zoom. So they doing various takes on the Flashpoint, storyline, which I think is a lot of fun. Like, I'm enjoying it.
I don't like the multiple yellow flashes, but hey, whatever. I mean, the show is doing.
It works for TV, dude. It works for TV.
Now, all I know, I was hyped when they did Grodd, son. I've been calling for the gorilla for a minute. I was like, yo, bring me Grodd, son. How y'all do it? I don't care how it gets done. That was hot to me. And
that joint was thorough.
Yo, listen, for anybody who don't read comics at all, y'all still enjoy the show. But I think shows like this, for cats that read comics, and there's a lot of us, and I've been finding that out a lot in these past few months. When we see stuff like that, it's just like, God, that was hot, because you know what it is. I mean, when I saw in the very first episode where they showed the aftermath of the explosion and they showed the cage and it said Grodd, I was like, oh, they got Grodd. They was like, who's Grodd? I was like, the talking gorilla. Let's do it. So.
But yo, you know what got me thinking though? Like, if they green Grodd, what about Baron? Because that joint would be tight.
Listen, look, Flash. What I was worried about with Flash, and we talked about this a little bit. Geekiness and I. What worried me about Flash? See, the reason why I think shows like Batman and Arrow work, because you don't need too much CGI, you don't need too much extra. You could kind of it could easily be a spy flick, easily, right? Because they're falling to
regular dudes.
They're regular dudes that's just doing stuff that And we know it's not realistic, but there's some dude out there in his underwear like, I can be that guy.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying?
Have you watched that show like American Ninja Warrior?
Yes.
Like, the dudes that win American Ninja Warrior could be Batman or
exactly.
Arrow.
Like, that's real, and don't I personally, I don't care. I like comic books. I like superhero. I like the concept of Wolverine. I watch that all day, every day. But what I'm saying is, even people who don't read comics could get into Arrow, could even get into Batman because he's just a dude with armor on. You see what I'm saying? And what worried me about Flash is there's a little bit extra. You're going to have to see some CGI, the special effects. And I don't mind special effects. I just hate when it takes over the show. When it's only about the special effects and everything, storyline, acting, everything is crap. But Flash has been pulling it off, man. They've been pulling it off as far as I'm concerned. That Constantine, they've pulled it off. They've done good stuff, and I hope they keep it up. I hope it doesn't go the way of Smallville, because when Smallville tried to incorporate many Justice Leaguers, that joint was corny. Every character that they brought in to me was corny. They brought in Booster Gold, that was corny. They brought in Blue Beetle, that was corny. They brought in Martian Manhunter, corny. And I applauded the effort, but it was like, yo, this is whack though.
I don't disagree with you at all. Like, it's you bringing up like DC. I think DC is coming real hard right now. One of the things that I think was like the sleeper hit that like is not getting credit it deserves is Constantine. Constantine is a dope show, and like right now, its ratings is struggling, but based on some conversations I had with some folks, it looks like it's going to get picked up and brought back for next season. And I'm really hoping to get the traction that it deserves, and they can continue with it, because there's so much they can do with Constantine, especially with that Justice League Dark joint. Like, I would love to see Zatanna, Swamp Thing, Azragan, Deadman, like all of that, really come into play as we move forward down that Constantine storyline. So I think DC, from a TV standpoint, they're going hard right now. Like, they're doing better in TV and their direct to video animated movies than they are in like any other space. So, and I think they're taking some cues from Marvel as far as linking up their TV properties and what they're doing in the movies. I tip my hat to DC right now. They doing their thing. They definitely doing their thing, and I just want to see it keep it up. And I don't want to see Constantine be one of those shows that falls off, that has that cult appreciation, that cult following, but ends up coming off the air because it doesn't have that mainstream appeal yet.
Well, the understanding was that it was definitely not going to be picked back up. So obviously we have sources, you have sources, and it may be getting picked back up. Any word if it's going to be the same station, though?
Nah, I can't guarantee that. But based on some folks that I chatted with, they're hopeful that it'll be back next year, or next season.
But yeah, just the transition, and like you said, there was some big things that happened with Arrow and everything this week, and of course tonight we had Walking Dead. So we're going to get right into the King Phayce's Royal Court. He has his topics he want to talk about, and then after that we're going to get into our new Walking Dead segment called Dead Watch, where we will be predicting who's on the chopping block, who's going to make it to the next season, etc., with as few spoilers as possible. I'm going to turn it over to you, King Phayce.
What? No music? No music, Phayce? You're not going to sing?
Yeah. Where's the music?
Check this out.
Phayce?
I'm ready. I was getting ready to say, everybody. I wasn't going to do the third dome because that'll be a bite. Welcome to PhayceTime. Let's get it.
Whatever ransom you're asking for, they'll pay it.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else puts the hose again.
Okay.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how clear that was, but yo, that joint was hot, right? And you're talking about real dancing skills. My pop lock.
I don't know what to say.
All right, yo, sorry.
I am sorry for the viewers out there.
Look. All right, y'all. So basically, what we gonna do here is I got 5 topics. I'm going to drop them, and then we're going to talk about them. Whether we get into all 5, it's whatever. A lot of these guys is long-winded, so who knows how we're going to go. Now, there's a little bit of different twist here. I have no filter. I'm not going to have a filter, so we're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to get it in today. So hopefully y'all enjoy. Yes. But it's not all going to be crazy. It's going to be some real deep conversations. So along with some skullduggery. You like how I did that? Yeah. So, all right. So the 5 topics I got for today. Right now, with Leonard Nimoy passing, it was a conversation that I actually had before he died. And it was a deep conversation I had with a couple friends of mine. I figured I'd bring it to the show. It is the concept of Star Trek. Now, it isn't what you think. The concept of Star Trek and why that would never happen. Okay? Or will it? Number 2, we all saw, well, I don't know who here saw the Power Rangers show, the fan fiction joint, which was fire. But there's a lot of blowback there on both sides. A lot of people, Power Rangers, oh my God, my kids used to watch them. And I think that's an argument that is so annoying because I remember watching Power Rangers, but at the time that I watched Power Rangers, I also was into Friday the 13th. So this concept that we can't, rated R stuff is not good for you, I think is BS, and I will tell you why. Number 3. Well, Fantastic Four will be out soon, and it isn't the only one that's breaking grounds as far as turning different characters, different races, just for the sake. For whatever you want to say. The director for the show said he wasn't thinking of being politically correct when he made the casting call. It was more because he thought my man was a good actor, whatever. But it's not the only time we've seen that in shows, between whether you like it or not, Nick Fury being played by Samuel L. Jackson, or Jason Momoa going to play Aquaman, so on and so forth. The concept of the Green Lantern, the new Miles Morales Spider-Man, you see it all across comics and on the shows. I want to talk about that. I think there was an interesting article about that with a couple people speaking out on it, and they got a lot of blowback from it, and I thought that was kind of stupid. So I want y'all to sound off on whether or not you think it was necessary, and we'll talk about that. The next one, entrapment. How unfair it is, but how stupid you are to get caught so obviously. We're going to talk about that. And if you're wondering, Phayce, what does getting hoes have to do with the Black Geeks? I'm going to tell you why. It's applicable. It fits under our umbrella. Trust me when I tell you. I'm not going to bring it up if it didn't. It fits under our umbrella, and we will talk about that. And last but not least, the concept. There's certain concepts we've heard over our lifetimes. One of them being that beauty is only skin deep. Well, I have my own opinions on that, and we will get into that. Plus, we will take a poll. We will take a poll. We'll talk about that. First, I'm just telling you what the top 5 topics are, and we'll start with the first one, and whether we get into them, that we'll see. So the first topic number 1.
Is this show rated?
Trust me, look, we ain't going to go crazy. Not really. Well, maybe a little bit, but whatever. Topic number 1, Star Trek. So I'm gonna give y'all.
Why is Phayce channeling Eddie Murphy tonight?
Listen, I haven't cussed not once except for saying hoes, and I don't think that's the best word, so whatever.
I'm not talking about cussing. You just channeling. It's like you watch Coming to America or something, like Trading Places right before we got on the show, huh?
Nah, not really. But yeah, I see what you're going with it. All right, so Star Trek. So I'm gonna set the stage, and I want y'all to sound off. All right, I have my own opinions. I'll give it to you at the end. That's how this game is played. So I was talking to Star Trek with a friend of mine. We were actually talking about the concept of not just Star Trek in general, but he brought that up as the springboard to our conversation. Now, all of us, back in the day, we all watched, we were young heads, 80s babies. Some of us a little bit late 70s or whatever, but we all remember watching shows like the Jetsons and all that stuff and thinking, man, I can't wait till that happens. You see what I'm saying? And you know, the time frames used in those shows were like, in 1999, this is what the world is going to look like, and they had the flying cars and the space shuttles, and everything was all beautiful or whatever. And it's 2014, and we ain't even close to that. So
we're doing head transplants soon.
Well, yeah. A friend of mine, we once said the concept was that Star Trek could never happen because greed is killing the world. We're in the stagnation process. I said it could happen.
Greed is good.
Yeah, greed is whatever. So my argument
not when you broke.
My argument was that it could happen, but it's going to take a cataclysm to happen. It's going to take something bad to happen for everybody to get off their foolishness. My friend said otherwise. He don't think it ever happened because he don't think we can all cooperate enough to really move forward the way we should as humans. Discuss. What do y'all think?
I personally agree with you. I think that at the end of the day, we're going to have some kind of alien invasion or some kind of post-apocalyptic event to get us to, because the thing about the world of Star Trek is they're in a utopian type society where humanity has decided to work together to share resources, science, technology, etc., as one big global community. And as doing that, they're able to progress faster. I mean, if you look at the real world right now, we have trade secrets, we have trade agreements, we have all these different things. We got the top 1% of the world basically
50% of the world's wealth.
Yeah, control like 50% of the world's wealth. And when you see stuff like that, it's kind of like, well, how in the world you expect things to move forward if you know what I'm saying? If we're not even working together on that level. So,
but here go the interesting thing though. Like with Star Trek, if I'm remembering my lore correctly, the humanity was on the brink of falling apart. Like when they made it out into space and then came across the Vulcans, and that's what kind of like changed everything. Like we kind of got forced into working together because it's like, oh crap, like we're not the only ones in the universe anymore, and that kind of like pushed it into that cohesion that led to United Federation and everything else, like the outgrowth of that. So with just that in mind, it's like Phayce is right. Like we're not gonna really get there unless it's something like absolutely forcing us to move in that direction.
Yeah, because I think like you said, the difference is I don't remember if it was because the Vulcans. I think they discovered the Vulcans as they were already out in Alpha Centauri or something like that.
Nah, if I remember correctly, they came across the Vulcans because the Vulcans didn't connect with any planets or any people who didn't have space travel technology warp drive. So dudes, I can't remember the guy's name, but the creator of the warp drive, he did a test flight, barely leaving our solar system, and then coming.
That's right. That's right. You're right.
And that's when the Vulcans peeped them out and made first contact.
That's true. You're absolutely right. But again, we're never going to get to that point because in order for technology to advance to those levels, there would have to be a concerted effort with all the greatest minds across the globe.
But even in the Star Trek universe, like, dude was, basically a one-man show as far as, like, what he did. Like, from what I understand, like, just, again, if I'm remembering the lore correctly, he, that was kind of like a desperation move. Humanity was, like, super fractured at that point in time.
But I think in real life, though, you would the resources necessary to put together that type of effort. Like, case in point, there are people right now that are saying that, and Bison's hitting us up with some history on Star Trek on Twitter. But I think, the issue with the real world as it stands is that you got people like they're close to coming up with an HIV vaccination, or Britain recently allowed creating children from 3 parents, and we're getting close to technology where you'll be able to create children from 2 same-sex parents. All these different technologies that will require human, trials and different rules in different countries, we cannot do, or we refuse to do because we don't work together. Same thing with technology. It's like if you look at just Apple and Google, for instance. Imagine if Apple, Google, and Microsoft pooled all their resources for the betterment of humanity, just from the technological standpoint, and they all focused on what they do best. If that was just one big look, we're not competitors anymore, we're just going to create technology for the sake of creating technology, we would probably be leap years beyond where we are right now, by a long shot. Because when you think of the technologies that Google is working on, Google right now have a whole health division where they're trying to deal with aging, and they're talking about they want to get people to at least 120, 140, and be comfortably okay, still have all your faculties and stuff like that. Those are just things, Apple's now getting into car technology, and it's Microsoft and their cloud technology, different things that each company does really well. We're not doing that. Solar energy, we won't even do stuff that protects the planet in general. We had the technology to do just solar technology, and we're not doing that.
Real quick to interject. Any one of y'all seen Kingsman?
No, I didn't see Kingsman.
Yeah, y'all gotta see that. Y'all gotta see that. That's hilarious. I ain't gonna spoil it, but yeah, that joint was thorough.
Well, they trying to ship people to Mars. I mean, hey.
But see, I think it's one thing. Listen, to go beyond. I mean, some people say there's that fear factor. A lot of people, what we do is we scare ourselves out of progression. We say that we can't make these moves because what we gonna do? How we gonna respond? I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people that's not capable. A lot of jobs gonna be lost. It's like, dude, there's been so many. I mean, there used to be. If you was a blacksmith that made horseshoes, you used to be one of the richest people in the town. That ain't the case anymore, but you move on. I mean, that's what you do. That's what we do. We are adapters. We adapt. They used to, who takes real photos? Kodak used to have a super presence all over the country. They don't now. And those people have to find different things to do. I mean, that's what we do. And to try to say it in a way that we are incapable of doing that, I think is counterproductive. I think it's stupid, and I think it keeps us stagnant. And there's a difference between talking about going to Mars solely because you just want to live up there real quick because you can see the writing on the wall here, as opposed to really, really space travel and trying to advance ourselves for real. I mean, it's there. We can do it, but it's like we ain't made it to that point where we're doing it for the betterment of us as people. It's still one of those, only a handful of people trying to do some things, and the rest of the people are culled into thinking that staying stagnant is the way to go. And I think the only way to get out of that is it's going to take some major nasty to happen.
Well, we a capitalist country, man. If we can't profit off of it, then we're going to keep our secrets to ourselves. I don't think that the technology doesn't exist. I just think that the people who can make it are not allowing it to be
and that's
put
my
out
point
there.
Like, because they're not doing that, and I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you, but all I'm saying is it's because of that we haven't reached as high as we could. And I'm not talking science for the sake of science.
Yeah, but we're still breaking through slowly but surely.
But see, that's what I'm saying. We ain't breaking through, not really. We are staying in place. These little breakthroughs that we supposedly get, these are things that got figured out years ago that they slowly matriculating to the masses. That's not progress. That's stagnation. You see what I'm saying? And all it's doing is you're giving people little drops so they don't go crazy. You're giving them little niblets of stuff and saying, look at this. Here's Google Earth, people. And everybody's like, ooh, Google Earth. They've been doing that for years. They was doing that in the 70s. And we just now getting it in 2000?
I
That's
gotta
what I'm
agree with
talking
Face
about.
on this one. I mean, look, the internal combustion engine has been
Yeah.
obsolete since the 50s.
Pretty
You
much,
know,
but
imagine where would we be right now if the American automotive companies hadn't sold their souls to the oil companies and killed the electric car? Think about it.
we would be in a different place. And that's all I'm saying.
Hey,
Like, that's all I'm saying. Whether
I heard there was a
we're the ones with the
man.
answer or not, I'm just saying that's why we're stagnant. And it's going to take some major stuff to change it. Otherwise, like you said, capitalism is serving us the handful, and everybody else is content, or they believe they are.
Right.
Cheap,
I agree.
cheap.
Crisis always brings about change.
I mean, look at, bringing up that as a point. Look at what happened with the gas prices. When the gas prices got really high, people start looking toward alternative fuel, and just in this last what 8 or not even 8 years of the Obama administration, we now easily have electrical cars now that's in reach, and that's actually worth it. We have clean diesel that you can get upwards of 50 miles per gallon in like a Jetta or something. These are things that we could have done 2 decades ago when gas, was cheap. But because it was so cheap, we said, yeah, drill, baby, drill. Like even now, people are talking about they want the Keystone Pipeline, and it's become this big political brouhaha because we want more oil from Canada. And at the same time, when you think about it, if people were like, look at all this desert we got, let's do solar. I mean, you got companies like Apple who are building data centers that's 100% renewable fuel. And in the UAE, they just started putting on all the mosques, and it's like 6,000 mosques in the UAE. They're now putting solar panels on all of them because they're tired of having to import energy. They said, look, we got all this sunlight. Let's just use, solar power. It's within reach. It's just, like Bison just put on Twitter. Unfortunately, though, a lot of time we don't get these advancements till it's time of war. And which brings back to the original idea that Phayce put forward, was that something cataclysmic would probably have to happen for us to change our tune. Much like climate change, we're going to actually have to see California and New York go into the ocean before people start saying, oh, maybe it wasn't a good idea that we melted the polar ice caps.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the stuff that is created today, as opposed to what might come in the future, is getting kidnapped and into the wrong hands anyway. So, we can move forward in technology, but now, we so security conscious in this country and so worried about what somebody else might use against us. I think when things come out, the government or whoever is in control tries to stifle it. About 4 or 5 years ago, I heard about a guy who made a car engine run on water. That thing popped out for a quick minute. There was a video done on YouTube that the guy did himself, and you never heard no more about it. I think the video stayed on for about a week. Then they had YouTube scratch it, and it might be up again now. But a few months after that, they said the dude was dead. He was healthy in the damn video. We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, that's like I said. It's a topic. I think it's probably going to be thrown on our younger generation, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed. It needs to be addressed. If we're really trying to move forward, people need to actually. It's going to take something cataclysmic, and it's going to take actual people, not people waiting for the representatives to make the decisions for them. Because if that's what you're going to do, I promise you, ain't nothing going to really get done. It's going to just be business as usual. All right. So next topic. All right. So I'm gonna bring this up real quick because we've talked about this on the show. I want to put it out there because I think I want to call BS. I want to call horse doo-doo. Okay, I want to call it because it's to me, I find it odd how when someone says something that makes sense, people want to blast them for speaking their mind, or you want to argue the wrong point. So what I'm talking about, and there was a couple topics that came up over the last month, and I'm going to kind of combine them all in one because it kind of comes back to the same point. Recently, you had, everybody knows Michelle Rodriguez of Girl Fight, Fast and Furious fame. He basically went on an interview, and I know TMZ kind of cut and pasted some of the stuff she said, but I kind of read the whole article or her whole comment of what she said. Basically, the headline was how she said, "Stop stealing our white superheroes," but that's not really what she was saying. And actually, what she said was real, and I repeat it, and I dare anybody to tell me to shut up because that's some BS. I mean, basically, to paraphrase what she basically said stuff that we said on this show. She said basically there's enough history and culture in comic books that instead of trying to turn white superheroes to different colors or making a male character a female just for the sake of doing it, how about you go into the content and find a female character to make? Go into the content and find a black character that's already there. We've said that 100 times on the show, and that's basically what she said, and she got slammed for it. And she came out and gave a fake apology, which I promise you I would not have done. There's nothing worse to me than saying something that you believe and then come out and putting a fake-ass apology out there, because I think that's more insulting than the actual words you spoke. But that's just me. And I just happen to agree with what she said. She's basically saying, like, listen, let's say like you got this Fantastic Four, of the director for the Fantastic Four basically said that he wasn't so much looking to make a political statement. He had worked with Michael B. Jordan during Chronicle, and he thought that he fit the role. And he wasn't looking, he was being colorblind when he said when he thought of Human Torch, he thought, ooh, Michael B. Jordan. And he was like, that's who he casted. And he was only thinking of that. Then he went into how he has a mixed race family and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like I can see that. I'm not buying it, but I can see where you could think that you should be able to cast somebody to play a role, and it shouldn't matter. But at the same time, I also agree that there's enough content you could have casted him to play another role for another movie. There's plenty of movies that he could have played, but that's where you went with it. So my question is, do you guys agree with her assessment? Do you guys agree with that assessment? Not only about, whether or not we have our own content, but when people say things, I mean, do you think that we are doing too much getting in our feelings? And this is also on the heels, if y'all don't remember, my man Cumberbatch, was on the Travis Smiley show last month, and he basically was saying that he feels like there's not enough, there should be more roles for black actors, but he used the word colored, and everybody got all up in his, in his butt about it. And I thought that was the wrong battle to take. I didn't see why everybody was getting all upset about it. You know what I'm saying? I think it was stupid, and he was trying to say something that made sense. What do y'all think about that? Discuss.
I agree with you in a couple of areas. Going back to, I'm gonna deal with Cumberbatch first. I believe that we get so caught up on the messenger that we lose sight of the message, and I believe that's what happened with Benedict Cumberbatch. Like, as African Americans, we've had this huge transition in society. We went from being slaves to niggers to Negro to colored to African American to black, and he picked the wrong term to use, but that doesn't take away from the point that he was making as far as increasing the number of opportunities for African Americans or people of African descent in the cinema, in the cinematic universe in Europe and in America. Now, going to Michelle Rodriguez, I don't really have an issue with what she said, and I agree that she probably shouldn't apologize for it if she meant it. My concern is that not necessarily turning characters black or turning them brown, or like whatever the situation may be, because we're all huge fans of the source material. We need to start developing more original content. Like right now, we've got this resurgence of the 80s, resurgence of the 90s, and in movies and on television, as opposed to what's up with original content. You know, like there's always been kind of a lack or a deficit of people of color in comics, but that didn't take away from the fact that comic books are freaking awesome and we love the stories, and those stories that are told transcend, you know, race and gender, because so much of what happens we can all relate to in some form or fashion. But as opposed to having that argument and trying to rewrite source material and trying to rewrite content, what about creating new characters and creating new content? Like as we move forward, hell, it's 2015. Like there's new stories that can be told. There's stories that can be told in different ways. Like especially with everything that's going on now in the political field, you know, the advances that we made in technology. Hell, some of the stuff that we were talking about or reading about in comics 20, 30, 40 years ago is coming to pass now. They're trying to put people on Mars in the next 2 decades. So let's create something new. You know, let's stop trying to change something old and create something new. That's my thoughts on it.
I agree.
Go ahead, Gus.
Well, I'm real short. Like I said, I don't disagree with what Rodriguez said. I just think that they need to take these characters who are of different races and just give them significant parts in these stories. Like you know, Potbelly was saying, create new content so that there's a backstory that can be told about these other characters. I think people of color are still struggling to be equal in the world. So when we have these directors putting out the Black Annies, I think everybody, part of me agrees. You know, don't take away the character, who the character actually is. Just put in the other characters. You know, put in the Black Panthers and you know, all the other characters that are of different races. You know, when you add them in, Ellie was saying earlier, to that new content, and have a feeling like they belong in.
Ghost, we got a bad connection with you,
Term,
bro.
man, I'm not getting my point across the right way, but
Nah, yeah, you saying the right thing. I know you cutting in and out a little bit.
yeah,
But,
I don't. Y'all just.
see, that's just the man trying to bring you down.
Sounding like Stephen Hawkins on crack right now.
You know, that was a good joke to make, but I'm gonna let that ride. I'm just gonna. I tried to like let it go. Okay. I was just gonna say.
Man, you know that was funny.
I just moving right along. I was just gonna say to that point. A good friend of mine brought the conversation up on Facebook, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I think we're all in agreement here. I am not a fan of taking traditionally white characters and, you know, or should I say ethnic European characters, and making them, you know, minorities for the sake of diversity, like the Human Torch or any other character we see, unless it's already been done in the comic books, you know, significant time, like when they did the Ultimate Marvel Universe and Nick Fury became black. You know, that's one thing. And even to a degree, even to a degree with the whole idea of Miles Morales being an alternate Spider-Man universe, that type of deal. But when you're doing it in Hollywood for the sake of Hollywood, I don't think it's fair. And also the alternate was brought up, like, how would we feel if there was like, okay, Luke Cage is now going to be played by James Franco, or they're going to cast Black Panther is going to be Chris Pratt or something like that. We'd be like, whoa, what the hell? Storm is, whomever, Emma Stone,
Angelina Jolie.
yeah, or, something like that. We'd be like, we'd cry foul. So at the same time, I don't think, and I hope this don't get retweeted or quoted or something like that. I don't think we need affirmative action characters. I think that's what it seemed like.
Say affirmative. He said the A word. Somebody banned him from TV. Oh, good Lord, have mercy. Oh, he said the A word. Jesus, take the wheel.
Dude, you're going to have Al Sharpton coming on the show next week.
But that's what it feel like. I gotta say how I feel. I feel like when they do that, it's like we gotta mix this up a little bit. Let's make them black. It's just like they did with Thor when they got the different diverse characters as part of his crew. I'm like, yo, I know the Aryans got all into this because they all into that whole Viking Norse stuff, but I'm not agreeing with the Norse mythology, the Aryan nation or nothing. But there is something to the fact that it's a Viking thing. And how do Vikings look? I don't want them to film Wakanda and Wakanda look like, you got all the different races and stuff. No, they were all African. I mean, it's only fair. So I think what Rodriguez was saying was, look, Marvel and DC have enough characters of color that they don't have to do this crap. And even for those characters that aren't as well known as your Captain Americas and stuff, then elevate them if you feel like you have to have color, which is what I think DC has done. And I'm not a big DC Comics fan, but with Cyborg being part of the Justice League now, they, so that's my stance on that. I don't want affirmative action superheroes.
That's exactly what DC has done, and DC is, as opposed to creating new characters, they're shuffling their deck to try to show more diversity, and that's how Cyborg, became part of the Justice League. And it's not just him; it was a conscious effort by DC to make Iris black on the Flash, and like DC has a big push right now towards diversity, and I think they're doing it in a very smart way by introducing characters from their initial lineup as well as some of their secondary characters, changing them in a way that it makes sense.
But at least with Cyborg, he was always black. I mean, so it wasn't like he was, like how they did,
No, that's my point. Like they replaced Martian Manhunter,
who was green. So that really, what do you?
With Cyborg, a black character, increased the level of diversity.
But so, even if I'm not mistaken, when Martian Manhunter was in his civilian guys,
he would be black sometimes. Well, he'd be black a lot, not all the time, but
not all the time. But I mean, he's a shapeshifter, so obviously. But he was. Most of the time he was black. So, I mean,
he's still a Martian, though.
Yeah, he's Martian. He's green.
Well, I've always understood him to be of African descent.
From Mars?
By way of Mars.
Of African descent. No. That's kind of wrong on so many levels, what you just said. But, all right, that's cool.
I'm just the way they've always drawn them.
You know what? You're sinking. So I'm gonna move on. Knock this out real quick. So, all right, the other topic.
We're not gonna get to the Walking Dead tonight, huh?
Oh yes, we are. We got to.
Yeah. Let me hurry up and knock this out real quick. So we got the speed round. Real quick. So. See, I want to get to the debauchery. I'm just gonna go there. right off the gate. All All right, so this joint came across me last month, and I've been wanting to talk about it for a minute.
Oh, God.
All right, so down in Brazil, I think Econius know where I'm about to go. Down in Brazil last month, there was a reality TV star. Okay, a reality TV star who basically is fake as fake can be, but unlike a lot of our stars, she ain't modest even remotely about it. In fact, she came out and said, basically, don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Yeah, I cut myself up, but I do this because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm one of the pretty ones, and y'all just ugly. That's why y'all hate me. Basically, she just to give a few things, she's got fake breasts, fake butt, fake thighs, and steroid injections, lips, nose, eyes, call it weave, everything. She is the walking plastic factory. And the chick went into a coma. So she goes into a coma. Right, it becomes this thing. Now she survives. But a lot of these women that do that much work kind of don't survive. She survived. Now the first thing that got my attention is, did she take responsibility for her stupidity? Nah. She blamed y'all. Y'all meaning the world, for making me have to feel like I have to be beautiful. So this was your fault. That's what that broad said. Now, I'm not gonna cuss, but that bitch crazy, man. I just thought that was.
You just said.
I'm sorry. I just had a moment. Oh, my bad.
For
I
the
got
record,
$1 in a cuss jar. I just put $1 in a cuss jar. So
Yeah, you might as well drop a dub in there because I know you got more coming.
for the record, the Black Geeks are looking for a female to be on the show. So if you think you can help us balance things out, please let us know in Twitter, email us, let us know something.
Here's the thing, though. There's some truth to what she says. I think she's crazy, but there's some truth to what she says, because there's that whole thing that, a lot of these women that go to Hollywood, that go into movies these days, you see it all the time on Google, before and after shot, somebody cutting up their nose, getting some kind of Botox injection, lip injections. The most Travis, the most heinous, the most sacrilegious crime of all is booty injections, because now you got me thinking about it. And it's like, what happened to just having a nice booty? Now you got to go put some fake stuff in it, and that's just crazy. So I wanted to add. So I'm going to ask your opinion on that by asking y'all a very simple question. Probably you're going to enjoy this. I want to know. I just want to know.
I don't want to answer the
I'm
question.
just going to shake my head right now.
You might as well.
If you had the choice, and I'm not talking about, Funland time. I'm talking about, hey, here's this female that I brought home, and I'm going to introduce her to mama. Who would you prefer? Nicki Minaj or Serena Williams? Natural versus created.
Dude,
After the fact.
that's a horrible choice because I don't really find either one of them attractive for different reasons.
This nigga crazy. I knew he was going to. One of y'all was going to play that game. Listen, all I got to say, mute that nigga line. Mute his line. This is crazy, man.
Why we using the N-word for?
Oh,
yes.
Another $1 in the cuss jar.
That's what I said. He needed to throw a 20 in there and call it a day.
Listen, no, but here's the thing. Okay, so just go with the concept. Run with it.
He can't. The pressure.
You really gonna make me choose?
And Ghost is gone, so you got to do it.
If I have to choose, I'm gonna go with Nikki.
Why? So you cool with fake stuff? You cool with processed plastic? That doesn't bother you?
Not particularly.
Interesting. Geekonius. Pretend like we like girls. Nikki, Serena.
Really? Really?
Yo,
That's what we doing right now? That's what we doing? You trying to say I don't like girls? Is that what you're saying?
Answer the question.
I don't know, man.
Au natural or processed? And let me caveat this by saying I think they both tight. I think they both. I like them both. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But I just think, putting my real talk hat on right now, I don't think you should have to do all of that. I think a lot of these women who play that game are fine the way they are, and I think
I'm feeling mad pressure right now.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Listen, if I just got pressured into answering, you got to
answer. What would you do? Let's move on because we got to move on from this.
It's actually easy for me, Serena. I'm just a fan of natural.
Me too.
I mean,
just curious.
Ladies, it ain't as cute as you think it is. It's just not.
Yeah.
You use what you were given, or hit the gym really hard and change it. And if it still don't work out, it wasn't meant to be. You know.
You are just a dirty male chauvinist.
No,
I ain't say nothing about the gym, dude.
I'm just keeping it real. When you look at, because this has come up already a couple of times. Renee Zellweger, Uma Thurman.
Oh,
I mean, you have these women who were attractive by most standards, who, because of this whole ageism thing that you have to look a certain way, you 50-something years old. Why are you doing all this stuff to your face to try to change it?
You don't understand. That's why I got so much love for Jamie Lee Curtis. She just made the decision, like, yo, I'm just going to age gracefully, and she looks great.
Just like Catherine Zeta-Jones. I just, on the SNL.
Cindy Crawford, what's that all about?
Is that all of them?
Yo, she got a Lazarus pit.
Yeah,
she got a Lazarus pit in her backyard. That's crazy. Somebody need to.
All of them are north of 50, and they just like, if they got work, they got work. If they didn't, they did. I mean, even if you go to somewhere like Helen Mirren, the British actress.
She looks great for her age. Fantastic.
Yeah. Just to
play Galadriel.
Just to put it out there, Gladiator Maximus Aurelius said the same thing, and females came left and right after him, the Hollywood types. So,
listen, man, I take off my hat to freaking Betty White, man. She over 90 and holding it down.
Speaking of Betty White, somebody put out that Betty White was actually born before the invention of sliced bread. so they were saying that whenever you say better than sliced bread, you got to say it's the next best thing after Betty White.
Wow, y'all did that too. That's crazy.
No, I love Betty White, but the point is, she don't give up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's just society doing that, or the Kim Kardashian thing. Now all of a sudden, even though Sir Mix-a-Lot said it when I was like 10 years old, he was talking about big butts, and everybody was like, I don't know what that's about. They wanted those heroin addict looking models back then. Now all of a sudden everybody got to be thick, so everybody's going to put stuff in their butt. It's just crazy. I don't know.
Yo, you see the chick that's on trial right now for killing a chick for the butt injections?
Is that the actual chick or the woman that's?
I forget her name. It's actually she a transvestite, and she on trial right now for she was called like the madam of the butt.
Cut.
You're a booty inspector?
No.
She's the booty inspector?
You insulting people left and right. You're not even going to use that term. That's not even the right term.
Hold on.
That ain't the right term.
Well, you know what? Listen. I'm going to say this for us on this show. We joke, we clown, and everybody's suspect. We clown each other. We clown you. I have no intention on being politically correct anytime soon. I mean, let me speak my piece, and then we can move on, because I think right now, and this kind of, we talked about this and we kind of touched on it a little bit. There was a little bit of a theme here. I think we are focusing way too much on the wrong stuff. And it's crazy because I work with people who are way older than I am, and I think this way, and to hear it, just to make sure that I'm not going crazy, when they say certain things, they always look at me like, really? Because it's like, yo, the whole vernacular has changed, and for no apparent reason, just to make someone feel better. And it's like, and what did you really accomplish? I mean, you could say something that really ain't that big a deal, and now you done made it worse. Like, for example, the whole concept of little people. To me, I think that's more offensive. I'm not a little person. I just think that's more offensive. I don't see. I know a couple, and I've had them tell me that. Now I'm sure there's probably one out there that's like, well, I like the term. Whatever, dude. My point is, it's just crazy because you know when I'm trying to offend you, and you know when I'm not. You want to play stupid like you don't, then you just being dumb and you not worth the time to respond to. And so I think, yo, I have no problem. That's why I said this show, when we do this segment, zero filter. So if you are bothered by certain vernaculars, you need to get over yourself. You know when I'm talking bad about you. Now maybe it's my time in the Marine Corps. I don't know. I got over.
Don't blame that.
Look, listen. Look. I'll tell you a quick joint.
That's the I'm crazy defense.
No. It's not crazy. It's not crazy. Listen, I remember, you know how we all are. You know, and I'm not as over the top as a lot of these young dudes out there now when they talk about I'm a grown ass man. I don't use that term lightly. But you know how people like to be talked to a certain way. And when I first showed up in my first duty station, and I'm not going to say the cuss words, but my sergeant major, the first thing he did was dispel any problem that you might have. He was like, listen, I cuss a lot. So I say the word MF, and I'm not saying it to you. I'm just saying it in general. Now, if I grab you to the side and like, look, you stupid MFer, then I'm talking to you. And he was like, yo, you need to get over yourself. And I was like, yo, that was real talk. I'm glad you said that. now I understand where you're coming from. So when he did it, it never bothered me in the slightest. And I think a lot of people, we too sensitive. We're way too sensitive. Like we talked about this Cumberbatch thing. I know people who are afraid to even describe a black person because they're afraid of how we might take it. One dude, I had a dude sit there for 10 minutes trying to tell me, hey, did you see the guy? And I was like, what guy? And he was like, I was like, yo, there's 50 people I just passed. Which one are you talking about? Oh God, I was like, the Negro, the black guy, the colored guy. Yeah, him. I was like, why don't you just say the black dude? Because it's just, it to me, it made me feel uncomfortable. I was like, yo, it'd be different if you said, hey, you see that?
You're laughing right now, but real talk, like I had this conversation at my job. Like I work with a bunch of white Americans, ethnic Europeans, whatever, and they actually asked me like, how do black people like to be referred to? Like, can we use black? Do we use African American? Like, how do we put it in writing, or what do we? And I'm sitting there scratching my head, like wow, it's like at this time it was 2014. I'm like, yo, it's 2014, and black folks been in this country for like 400 years, and y'all
but you know what?
Know how to reference people?
But you know what? To be fair, you got a lot of black folks that's stupid in general about that. Because I know cats that, like, for example, and I'm not making this up, there was like 4 of us standing there, and all 4 of us said something different. Some people don't like the term being called African American. Some people don't like black. Some people don't just hate the word colored, and other people don't care one way or another. They know when you're talking crap about them. And so I think overall, because we keep playing these color games, you know, even amongst ourselves, we like to get it comes back to that same point. People want to be all up in their feelings. They want a reason to have their feelings hurt, even when it's not that serious. And you gotta know it. You're capable of understanding when someone's talking about you or when they're talking at you. You know what I mean? And I understand you want to be respected. I understand the history, but at the same time, when you can't decide what you think we should be called, then you can't get mad when somebody else don't know what to call you. You see what I'm saying? You just can't. I mean, you want to be, but you can't. You need to fix your own self first. If you walking around with 30 different names and you get mad because somebody don't call you the right name on that day, that's on you. That's on you. And I just think To me, I don't think so, but I'm not to the right if it got used. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this dude done called me out my name. Now I gotta fight. I ain't gonna do all of that. It's just not that deep. And I think in a lot of things, it's not that deep. And a lot of things we do, it's not that deep. A lot of vernaculars and words we say isn't that deep. And just because you want to change the name up in the fourth quarter, whatever, dude. We've been calling this play this whole time. Now you want to call it a different play out of nowhere? Don't tell no one else to audible. That's foolish. Like, that's crazy. So it is what it is, man. If you get offended on this show when people say a certain term, you need to check yourself. Unless we are being obviously condescending. Now, if we cracking jokes and you just happen to be a butt of them, it was your turn. Let it go. Let it go. But being all up in your feelings, I think we get over that. I think we cross a lot of hurdles if we play that game. If we get over ourselves a little bit. If we really want to be tolerant and you want a lot of people to be tolerant of you, you got to let go a lot of the petty foolishness. Because right now you're making it petty and you're making it an issue. And then you're causing people to be annoyed by it. Because eventually that stuff will get annoying. I'm annoyed already. But I've been annoyed, so just saying.
Alrighty then. So The Walking Dead.
So I guess we just gonna end the show on a Phayce rant.
Yeah, I don't see a need to add to it, lest I create more drama and more trouble. Bison is hitting us up on Twitter, and he's talking about the N-word and things of that nature. So, if you're on Twitter, please check it out. He's making some substantive commentary on it. We want to change gears here because we're already a little bit over time, and just go into a quick wrap-up of The Walking Dead. First off, I want to make sure all my fellow geeks watched The Walking Dead tonight. Watched it, Phayce?
Yeah.
And you see it, Potbelly?
See what?
I don't even know what to say. Did you hear anything I just said?
Yes, I heard what you said, and
okay,
yes,
so
I
you trying to be funny? You trying to be funny? All right,
so way too easy to get a rise out of.
Y'all started it before we even went live, okay? But let me just go ahead and say, so tonight we saw the Rick and crew made it to Alexandria last episode, and now they're trying to get adjusted. For those of us who read the comics, we kind of already saw this coming. They're doing things slightly different. For instance, the main leader in the comics, his name was Douglas, and he was a former Congress person, and now they have a woman named Deanna. So they're also, merging some characters, it looks like. But I'm not going to go into details there. But a lot of people were, uneasy on Twitter. I was live tweeting it and was wondering, if something bad was going to happen. And all I can say is not yet. I did put some teasers out there and some stuff like that. Like I was calling Rick officer friendly well before he even shaved his beard. Just a little tease that he was going to cut his, beard off. And I even teased on who his deputy was. But other than that, I was going to say we wanted to call this segment Dead Watch. Now, some of us, have read the comics. In fact, of the three of us that's currently on the air, we've read all the comics that cover what they're doing in the show right now. And for those of you who are just picking up the comment or need a refresher point, they're now covering issues 68 till about 80 at this time. So if you want to know where they're at, they're dipping and pulling from those issues right now. I saw some things from as early as issue 66 this episode. They hinted to some things that doesn't show up until about issue 71. So they kind of cherry pick around a certain time frame in the issues. That being said, we already know what's supposed to happen. And the things we can tell you right out the gate, just so you know that we have no knowledge. In the comic world, Sasha is long dead. There is no Daryl. There is no Noah. There is no Tara. Judith is long dead. Carol is long dead. So, of all those characters, we have no clue what's going to happen on this show. Now, I will say this just as a little bit of an insider note. It appeared, especially in this episode, something that I've been hinting to for quite some time in the show. I think they actually confirmed it this episode. Sasha is the replacement for the Andrea character in the comic books. I'm firmly believe that now at this point. At least most of the characteristics concerning Andrea, I'll let the comic readers figure out where I'm going with that.
So you think it's gonna?
I'm not.
You think it's gonna?
Look, I am not speculating on any of that level, but from what was showed tonight and the highlight for next week is she's definitely doing the stuff comic book Andrea did at this stage in the game. So I'll say that. So other than that, we got introduced to some new characters, and they're already combining some stuff from late 70 issues. So with that being said, not knowing what changes they're going to make, I'm going to go around the room, and we're going to go ahead and give our predictions. Now, we know they're in Alexandria right now, and this is the safe zone. But based on where they're at in the comics, next episode, something could happen, and the crew could go down a couple. And in fact, they've already announced, I didn't say this in Sith News, that the season finale is going to be 90 minutes instead of the regular 60 minutes. So what that means to me is they're going to end on a high note.
Oh.
So, with that being said, Potbelly, we can start with you. If you had to pick 3 characters that's currently on the show, who do you think at this stage in the game will not make it to next season?
All right, so I'm going to do some oddball stuff right now, and I'm not going to pick a character who's not going to make it to next season. I'm going to pick the introduction of a character that's going to set off next season.
No, doing that. We're not doing that. You got to follow the rules of the segment. The rules of the segment are you have to look at the current crew and decide who's not going to make it to next season. And you can't say why. You can't say why.
But you can't say why? Oh, okay.
All right.
No, because especially based on something Potbelly just said, if he followed through with that and then said who he thinks is going to go based on that, then we would be saying too much. Way too much, actually. Everybody deserves to have their red wedding moment. I think if nothing else, everybody deserves their red wedding moment.
All right. So if that's the case, then I'm going to decline comment and pass the baton.
What?
On to you, Mr. Phayce. Y'all don't want me to go. I'm gonna give it away. So yeah, go ahead, Phayce.
I think everybody hate Chris is gone.
I co-sign on that.
I
Take Carol out of it too.
I thought you didn't want to go.
I'm just saying, I'm helping you out.
I think everybody hates Chris is gone. I think old girl, that girl, I forget her name in the show. Is that her name, Tyra?
The one they picked up from the governor.
From the governors, yeah, I think she's going. I think she'll go. I'm mad that they didn't have my man up.
Who, Gabriel?
No, not him.
I want to say because I know you hate Gabriel like everybody else.
No, I do hate Gabriel. I'm waiting for Morgan, and I'm also my man. What was the dude name with the dreads?
Oh, dude, no,
Yeah.
stop. That's way after issue 100.
Do you understand what I am talking about? I'm not talking about him. Call me King. I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the dude with the dress that's normally. They basically replace him. Matter of fact, we talking about white characters just replacing black characters. The dude that was in that went to ROTC that does the runs is supposed to be a man with the dreads, black dude.
That probably it. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so he was black and he turned him white.
Is it the same? Is it the same name though?
I don't think so. That's why I said I can't remember his name.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, he's not there, and I just think that kind of threw me off a little bit, which made me believe that one of them is going to go, even though they're new.
Bison thinks that Sasha is done.
I hope not, but it's a possible. I mean, hey, they've been playing a crazy game, so I could see it. Based on what you said, though, it just, like I said, I think, like you said before, I'm cool. The spirit of the group and the characters is still intact. Yeah, they killed off Andrea early, but the group dynamic has not truly changed. The only thing that's changed is Daryl. And if you want to be honest, Daryl. Because they went from, Tyrese to Abraham. And now Abraham is there. Daryl is kind of just there, playing the role that Tyrese played and still alive. And so I know he's a fan favorite.
Okay. This is our first time doing the segment, and I see it's hard, man. And for those who are watching, and for those who's watching and will be watching, and wondering why this is so hard for us to decide who's going to bite the bullet, is because we are all current, or at least current as far as this season is concerned on the comics. If we slip up, we may mess around
and tell y'all who actually is going to die, because we know who's actually going to fight the big one.
So we're going to do it this way. I'm going to go through the list of current characters, and you just do. This is the Coliseum right now, all right? We in the Coliseum. You just go up, down, and you just leave it like that, okay? So,
all right.
I'm gonna give you an easy one, Rick. Okay, Carl, Michonne, Daryl. Daryl, we don't know. Okay, Carol. We got one down. Two down for Carol. To the Lions, Carol. Sasha. Okay. Abraham. Phayce. Where's your thumb? Okay.
Y'all know what? Go ahead.
Okay. Glenn. Potbelly. Don't know. Maggie. Wait. Okay. Tara. Wow, that was quick. Noah. Dang, 2,000, 3,000 Noah. Hell, I'd give Noah a couple. Gabriel. No, thumbs down for Gabriel. Oh, okay. Eugene. Okay. And I guess we're down to what's her name with Abraham? I don't forgot her name.
Rosita.
Rosita. All right. So that's the rankings this week. Of course, we're still wondering where in the world is Morgan. So
that's going to be interesting. That is going to be interesting to see how they play that.
Well, because there's
That's going to be interesting how they play that.
Anybody want to say anything about Jessie, the character that met? I was reading the Twitter feed, and some people were pretty concerned that she might be up to something. And for those who follow the comic books, they actually combined her character with somebody else. For those who remember the comics, there was a different woman who offered to cut Rick's hair, but she was such a minor character they kind of just merged her with Jessie's character. And my thing was, she made me nervous because Carl was walking around with a knife, and I was scared he might trip and fall and put his eye out or something.
Yeah. I see where they're going with it. I like where they're at so far. I'm curious because there's a lot of moving parts that weren't in the comic, but like I said, the spirit of the team is still kind of intact with a few exceptions. So I don't know.
It's just so amazing to me. I'm sitting here watching Twitter now. I guess it's finally coming to the West Coast and just wrapping up on the West Coast. No, it's coming on the West Coast. And someone's saying, Alexandria is, they think it's dangerous. Could it be the next Woodbury? We're going to have to have a separate discussion on that next week, but I'm kind of getting tired of people not reading the comics and the novels. I'm getting a little frustrated. It's kind of like, come on, this is basic stuff here. It's not the next Woodbury, people. Yes, I'm spoiling it. It is not the next Woodbury. This might actually... Nah, be quiet.
You should be quiet right now.
I almost said too much.
Yeah, you did.
I'm gonna end on this. My prediction is, because now we're getting into season finale territory, I do not think Lucille is going to show up this season now. At the rate they're going and where they are in the comic books, I think they're going to end with old Patch Eye. I think they're going to end with the incident with. I think that's going to be the. I think that's going to be the 90-minute thing, and somebody on Twitter who knew what I was hinting to. We were going back and forth hinting, not this week but last week, about somebody putting their eye out. They said the way they might fix the comic book storyline a little bit is, remember, Robert Kirkman, he eventually gets to major things that happen in the comic book. He just doesn't always do it in the same way.
Yeah, he doesn't take the same role.
Like when Rick ripped out the guy's throat in the comic, that happened when he was with just him, Abraham, and Carl in a store, and they got mugged by the guys or whatever. In the show, it was a little bit different, but it still happened. So someone on Twitter, and I hope they're right, because this drives me crazy, they said that in the comic book, when Lori died, she died as she was running away with Judith. They suggested that the way Judith died in the comic book may actually still happen, but it may happen when somebody else gets shot.
I can see that.
That's a possibility.
I can see that. I think it's too late in the game to kill a baby, but...
Because remember, when that person had to end up wearing an eye patch, it was pandemonium going on.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's the season finale. That's my prediction. That way you can end on not quite a red wedding moment,
but enough to have people freaked out for for several months. Because the Red Wedding moment, I think, is now going to happen at the mid-season finale of next season. That's when Lucille is going to do their thing.
Yeah, I think at the Red Wedding moment where that messed up is that should have actually been the last episode.
They're not going fast enough. I mean, they're moving pretty fast because they're but I think they have to physically change locations because even just now they were going out scouting and it was all these woods. Alexandria don't look like that. They got to get to a point where they're actually in city and stuff like that. So we'll see. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up this week's edition of the Black Geeks. We want to thank everybody for watching the archive. Don't forget to hit us up on Twitter at the Black Geeks, on Facebook at the Black Geeks, and of course on our website www.theblackgeeks.com. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, King Phayce. Thank you, Potbelly Samurai. Thank Ghost. Thank Bison, everybody in the chat. See y'all next week.
Hey.